I'm going to make a video about this because there's a lot to say, school stuff. There are many schools here. I don't know if you're looking at the south of France or anywhere in France, period. So I'm just going to speak about this area. But you basically there's three buckets of choices, generally speaking. You have just full French public schools, right? They're just taught in French. They're public schools, and they don't cost any additional money other than whatever your tax base is or what have you. And there's also what's called private schools. They are typically, not always, but typically they're in English. So these sort of like IB schools that are taught primarily in English. You have a lot of diplomats' kids. You have people from a lot of wealthy people of various nationalities send their kids to these schools to be, sort of prepped for other experiences. Maybe they end up going to school at, Oxford or even in France or something like that. But they basically get fully immersed in English. So that can be done both for native English-speaking kids or families, as well as sometimes foreigners who either are living in France or French people who want to have their kids have this experience in a rather expensive school in most cases, right? So examples of this would be things like the Mougin School would be one. There's a bunch of them. They have good reputations as being excellent education, and certainly, but you're not going to get the same, as I understand it. I haven't sent a kid to that school, but know many people who have, and you don't get the French immersion integrating into French culture type experience, but you would get a very good education. But it's rather expensive. So financially, not really looking to do that, and also wanted our child. We want to integrate into French society, so we wanted our child to go to a French school, which she has been doing anyway. If you followed in my other videos, you know that she's been going to school for 8 years in a French immersion school in California. So not really a big transition for her. There's a middle ground option, which is a semi-private school. So those can be taught either in English or French. Most of the ones we've found so far were in French. So I shouldn't say they could be taught in English. I haven't really found one yet, but theoretically it could. They're less expensive. I think that they're probably getting some help from the parents who are paying, but they're also, I'm guessing, because they're semi-private, they're getting some subsidies from the government as well. That part I don't know about, but they're less expensive. So for example, we've seen ones for like 500 euros a month, where we've also seen, there can be private schools that are thousands of euros per month, depending on the school. I'm not saying all schools are going to be 500 euros a month, but that's like a price range we've seen for some of these semi-private schools. And that actually was the option we ended up going for, because we ended up with the benefit of the French immersion. We ended up with more of an alternative, like smaller class size, like our daughter's in like class with like 15 kids. The total school is over 100 and something. It's both college, middle school, as well as lycée, high school. But people are wonderful there. So far so good. We're just getting started with it, so I can't really give you much more than that. But I wanted to give you the breakdown of kind of like how that looks, both in terms of the languages, in terms of cost, and why you might want to do it. So yeah, because there's even if you could afford a private school, you want to go there. There is the issue of, like, as I understand it, they're just being taught in English all day, so you're not going to get that immersive experience. And depending on what your goals are for your child, that might not be what you want.